You should be able to see it now. Yeah, basically what I want to do tonight is, guys, when you build a website, right, what if you guys could all just key in baseline that you can work with, and then we'll start filling this data into the report. So the first thing we'll start doing is just running from the top of the list. What would you say your typical domain cost is, guys? If you just key in a few numbers. I just want to run through this calculator. So we're on step 7, we've clicked on update the cost details, and then from that we're going to go back and talk about the actual silo framework and how you can speak to your client and basically make a profitable transaction and upsell them into actually going with you as the best viable option. So okay, so Kevin says 5K in research. Let's just make it much simpler. What would you say your typical domain cost is, guys? Typically, I know you can get domains for like $8 for a domain. What would you guys say is a fair price? If you just key in a few numbers quickly for me. Yeah, Taurus says 8, £10 to your contract. Okay. So let's work in dollars. Let's just say $15 just to balance that across the world. Yeah, Sally May, $8 to $25 for Australia. Right, so this is Australia 15. Okay. Now, typically, if you're doing graphic work for a client as a new project, let's assume we're doing a new project. What would you pay for a logo cost or a design cost? You have to create the theme for your client. What would you guys say is a fair number for the themes? Okay, so Sally says that she's paid up to $500 for the theme. Does someone else want to throw in a few numbers? We get the average. Kevin, £250. That's about $500. Okay, so let's go Tora $500. Okay, let's just put in $500 there. Okay. Logo cost I put naught. I'll just say it's included into that, so we put $500 in here. Important question. Silo architecture cost. Now guys, this field, the silo architecture cost, this is where you've gone and done the drills in Kraken or TLKT or any other tool that you use. This is where you're going and you're actually analyzing the market, you're doing the research, all this kind of stuff. Typically, what would you say you charge to build out a single silo with 5 articles? That's all we want to look at, is single silo, 5 articles. What would you say typically would be a fair price to charge? It doesn't have to be your price, but what would you consider being a fair price? Now, you're drilling the keywords. That's 6 keywords you got to drill. You're looking at the market. You're looking at the results you get back. You got to understand it, and then you got to actually map out the whole silo structure. What would you say is a fair price? Okay. So Kevin says a minimum of £750. That's about $1,100. Sally says $500 for a logo. Wow. Okay. Tora's saying between $500 and $750 for the silo architecture. Okay. Right. I'm going to put in there $1,000 because that's what I believe is the minimum price you should charge for a single silo with 5 articles. Doing the research, mapping it all out, getting everything prepped and ready. Okay, that's what I think is a good price. Yeah, for one silo. Okay. For e-commerce software, I'm going to leave that out. That's typically if you had like a Magento. If you had to go buy a Magento license, you would pay quite a lot of money for that. Or you get to go buy e-commerce software, it'll be plugins. Your annual hosting cost, I reckon you can get hosting for at least $300 a year. Okay. And plugins, if you have to go get a bunch of plugins, if you have to use like a membership type site plugin, you'll pay anything from a few $100 to $500. We'll leave that for now. We're just dealing with a typical client site. What would you say is a fair price to optimize and do the SEO on a single silo with 5 articles? That's 6 pages you've got to optimize. What do you guys say is a fair price? Okay, Kevin says $150 to $250. Anybody else? Okay, I'm just going to throw in $400 there just to get a nice feel for it. And then, is there anything else that you guys would charge for that you can think of just off your heads as miscellaneous costs, like any additional extras when you actually go out and work on a guy's site? Are there any admin fees or additional software you got to get or services that you do? Images. So say this is images. There's additional things for images. So creating images for the site. What would be the fair price to charge for miscellaneous? So that could include consulting. That could include doing additional images, like Sally said. We just need a number to throw in there, just as a rough one. Consultancy time. Okay, $500. Okay, Sally wins the bet. She got $500 in. Okay, so we type this in, and we're going to say this is for images for Sally. $500 for images. And Kevin says miscellaneous 2,500. Kevin, what would that $2.5 grand be for? Can you be a bit more specific than that number for the miscellaneous fees? Is that broken down into consulting, or is that broken down into making everything work and managing the whole process? Just so everybody on this call can actually get a feel for the different types of ways we charge and cost when we actually do this work. Okay, so Kevin's got admin, daily management, and consulting. That's a very, very good one. Okay, so I'll also type that in there. So let's just say make a $3 grand for everything. This is images, admin, consulting, and daily management. Okay, so I'm going to say this all now, and we're going to actually get a look and see what this is costing us. So what we've done here, we've just taken from multiple people different average costs, and excluding the content cost, we're basically sitting on $5,200 before we actually even start this client's project. And that's quite interesting when I look at this number, because we've not actually gone and actually built at the guy's site. We've not written the content, we've not anything like that at the moment. And from what you guys have told me, typically on average, we're looking like at a 5K project just to get the ball rolling. Would you guys say that's fair? Is that a fair price to consider? Because what we got here is, I've mapped out a site. We've got basically 42 pages in production, and based on domain, the design, the architecture, the hosting, the SEO optimization, and then miscellaneous costs, we've actually broken down to about 5K before we even start doing the promotion for a client. So Kevin is saying, yeah, that sounds good, possibly higher depending on the market. That's what Kevin says. That's very interesting. So literally in these last 5 minutes, what we've done with DWS is we've just banged in a few numbers, and we've got a starting point of what we want to do. So what I'm going to do now is I want to just jump back to Silent Framework and have a look at what we've got mapped out there. And at the moment, we've got 3 pages flagged as being live, and we've got 42 potential categories. So we look at the solid structure over here, and we've mapped this whole architecture out for the client. And this tells the whole story for the client's business. Now, obviously, this is just for demonstration and fictitious, but yeah, we've got a bit of geolocal keyword targeting, we've got tips, we've got clean services, what we actually do, and then where we work in this industry. So what happens is, when we're dealing with clients, right, when you know your basic numbers of what you charge, with DWS now, we go to step 7, the reports. Before we even start a project, we can update and add our publishing costs in, and that'll give us a baseline that we're starting with. So what that means is, for the client, as we come to speak to the client, we know already, like, for us to really do this, this is our starting point. The trick now is, when you get to speak to your client, you go to Silent Framework and you say to your client, listen, what is your top 10, 20, or 50 keywords that you consider being the most important to your business? And typically what I do with a situation is, when they give me this list of keywords, I run it to TLKT or Kraken, and I import those keywords in. And what I do is I charge the client for a half an hour consultation, $400. I say to listen, for half an hour, I will talk through the meaning of these keywords, okay? So what we can do is you can actually bring the client in and you can actually see the screen. You can do a Skype meeting with the client, you can do a go-to meeting with the client, and you actually import the keywords and you show them, look, these keywords here have the most meaning to your industry. They've got the most value to your business. And you can actually start mapping out the silo structure in front of your client while you're speaking to them. You're saying, look, this keyword here essentially is a category that we have to put up as a silo. This is cleaning services is something we're going to put into our site. And you move it across. Then you say, under cleaning services, we've got to do X, Y, and Z. And you actually move the keywords across. And you show them how you build out the site. But you do this all within half an hour budget. You just map this. The first side, you just map it out for the guys. And you talk to them about their business. And you actually get to understand their business. And what you'll find what's going to happen is, as you speak to them about the business, and the client starts seeing what it means to his business, he starts seeing how many conversions they potentially can get off the traffic, and they start seeing how long it takes to get ranked, then this whole process starts making real sense to the client. It starts making him really understand, right, this is actually what I need to do to actually get ranked and dominate in this market. And this automatically leads up into the upsell. So what you do is you start speaking to the client, right, well, we can build out a silo structure for you. We can define your DNA braid, what is most important to your business. We then can start writing your content. And when you actually look at DWS, we've just looked at the silo framework, and already you've been paid just to use this button for you to analyze his keywords that he has given you, okay? The upsell is the DNA braid, where you define the most important keywords that support the theme that you've built out for the single silo and 5 articles. Okay. The next upsell is we will write your content for you. Okay. And you see how the system works. We'll build your website for you, and it's going to cost you X. We'll promote your website for you, and it's going to cost you X. This whole system, guys, is designed that at every single step of the way, you get paid just to click on this button and to define something, okay? So if you think of it, you doing the structure, you're getting paid for that, and this is where you make a big chunk of the money. Then you defining the DNA braid. Then you're writing the articles for the guy, and you're getting paid for that. Then you're actually building his website. You're going online, you're publishing the site, you're getting it live, you're getting the theme included, you're including the logos, you're optimizing the content, you're making sure everything's right, you're uploading the XML files for the sitemaps, you're putting up the capture forms, the contact forms, you're integrating Aweber. All these things get involved in that one there, and that's quite a price point. And then when that site's live and it's optimized and all prepped and ready, then you start promoting, okay? And when you start promoting, basically what happens is, in this example, I've just started promoting 3 keywords. If we scroll down, DWS shows you what keywords are being promoted. It shows you exactly what you're going to do week by week and how much it's going to cost you week by week. And you can actually demonstrate this to clients. So look, on average, you're going to have to spend, if you scroll to the bottom of the file, $868 a month, okay? And if you use repurposed content, you're going to have to spend $667 a month. Literally within seconds, if you just run through a second, you can tell them, if you target one keyword, which we're doing over here, which is carpet cleaning, it's going to cost you $800 a month, which you're going to have to invest in promotion and marketing. And there's 248 actions that are required to really dominate this. And you can actually show the guys exactly what they're going to do. You can keep track of the budget, and you can show them, if we include the maximum cost, roughly how much budget is left. And this is very, very important. This is a very, very powerful thing. when you speak to a business owner, you show them these numbers, you start running through it, and you say, look, your primary site is going to cost you $7,465 to build, to write all the content, to get everything in place, to optimize it, to get it live, get it prepped and ready, and then after that, you're going to start promoting your site. You're going to spend $760 or $800 a month just to start doing the promotions. This puts you in a very, very unique position when you're actually speaking to a client, because they can see something tangible. They can look at it, they can read it. If you print it out for them, they can feel it, they can take it home with them, they can see exactly what it is that you are presenting to them and providing. And this makes the sales super, super easy because it's clear-cut and it's defined, okay? Now, I want to take a section here, and I just want to look at the questions and start working through the questions over here and see what the guys are saying. Okay, so out of 50K budget, 5K gets rolling into proportion, right? Kevin, you're speaking about the autoresponder that isn't taken into account or consideration in the cost. Yes, the autoresponder will fall under miscellaneous, and that's something you have to clearly define, because autoresponders, you're dealing with, depending on the market you're dealing with, there's different approaches you can take when you're dealing with the markets, okay? Sometimes you'll have to write 10 articles. If it's a very complex sales process and there's a lot of upselling, you might write 25 articles. So that's something that would fall under the miscellaneous. It's not as cut and dry as adding a domain or a graphic or a logo. Okay, so what I'm saying here is the miscellaneous stuff, factor those things in over there, especially for autoresponders, because if you just have the autoresponder for the client and they're going to run off and write their own content, you might spend 2 or 3 hours just putting the code into the website, and that's more of an optimization type of task. But if you're actually writing the content, that's potentially another 30 articles you have to actually factor into the cost, because you have to write that email content for the clients. Sally's saying here, this won't work with a small business. I disagree, Sally. When you're dealing with a small business, right, this is actually, I was speaking to a client tonight. What they're doing is they actually sell a local beer, and he's a small client. And what I did is I loaded up DWS and I started talking about selling craft beer in the local area. And there's not many people doing in this area, and we'll be looking at it. And the value he took out of using the application and understanding what he has to do was massive. He's thinking about his whole business in a totally different way, because now it's sort of giving him a better understanding of what is available with regards to what they're dealing with. So if you look at the local small business, right, traditionally the guys are doing offline marketing, it's word of mouth, it's like Joe down the road refers clients to Bob, who's the local store. These type of things is how they trade. But when they come into the online space, what you can do over here is you don't have to build a massive infrastructure, especially if they're working with like a 30-mile radius from where they're located. And you can just target those specific things, and what you're going to find is the search volumes for those specific things are much lower than the typical broad national type of things. And what you do is you come at a national level, you show them, look, this is what can happen nationally, and this is where you're at. And when you show them where they're at and how easy it is to get ranked for the locale, then you could charge the guys possibly $3,000–4,000. But the point being here is that regardless of what you do, these costs that we filled in over here, these are your costs, okay? Unless you're going to work for less money to get this price lower down, that is what you're up against. That's the decision you're going to make as a business owner. But typically, these fees, regardless of what you're doing, you want to basically have a fair price that you get, and then you put these numbers in. But it tells you exactly what you have to charge the client. Okay, so from a local perspective, to charge a client $7,465 for a website, that is reasonable, because look at what you've done. You've mapped out all their content and written their content for them. You've booked the domain. You've got the design, the theme, the look and feel of the whole site done. You've done the market research and understood the market, and you've designed the silo architecture. You've set up the annual hosting, and you've done the SEO optimization. Okay, and with miscellaneous, you charge the fee for basically manage them month to month, over a year, and that all kind of stuff. That is really, really reasonable. If you look at all the stuff you're doing for the local client, that is what your services are worth based on what the feedback you guys are giving to me. And I think when you explain it to the local client in this way, and they can actually see the breakdown of the reasons why these things are charging so much, they will not question you. Okay, the only time they're going to question you is if they don't have money to actually pay the bill. Okay, let's look at the next question. Yeah, Kevin's saying it opens up the eyes of the small business owners and it shows them what is actually needed. Okay, I know. Okay, cool. One of your rules in the local business empire is to move your client who doesn't have the cash. Cruel, but true. Yeah, if the guys can't pay you, don't waste your time. I know it's not nice to say that, but you know what? At the end of the day, you don't want to work for free. And in our local empires course, I've defined very clear-cut rules of how to vet your clients before you actually start working with them. And one of the rules is typically if the guy's never actually done any marketing online, be very careful, because if they're not promoting themselves online, the chances are they're not going to start, or they don't have money to start. Those are the two things you come up against. And you don't want to do like a whole bunch of work and then you come to give the guy the invoice and he's humming and hawing and say, well, actually, I never asked you to do this, this, and that. So what's great about this report, the way we're using it, is you clearly define, bang, this is what we're going to do. These are our charges. This really cost you. This is what each element means. Do you want to proceed? Yes or no? We always assume the sale. We speak to the client as if they are going to buy. And at the end of the story, you might spend an hour with a client, and if he says no, then you know, okay, this guy's not going to do it. You walk away, and the only damage you've received in your business is maybe 1 hour of consultation that you've lost. It's not literally days of work doing market research, drilling keywords, trying to figure out what's going on, presenting this big report saying, look, this is what you've got to do. And then they come around and say to you, actually, we're just looking for quotes. And they do nothing. So, yeah, put your prices in, present yourself up front before you do any work to the guys, and you'll find that the tire kickers will actually just run away when they actually see this. They say, sorry, I can't do it. And it'll impact you will be minimal. Taurus says, yeah. Oh, Sally says, very interesting. I just want to know, is there a step-by-step way on how to sell it to the client on the inside? This is, your question is very good, Sally. The step-by-step way, this is my process that I do, okay? Typically, a client will consult me. He'll say, listen, I'm doing this project, blah, 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 blah. This is what I want to do. And the first thing I say to them is I send them my FAQ document. I created an FAQ document where I explain how I work, what I do. I define the terminologies of what SEO is and all the services we offer in simple English, nothing fancy. And I put a price under each component. I said, look, this is how we work. This is what we do. And I send them the FAQ. I said, in my email, I said, if you're interested to proceed, please call me back and we'll schedule a 15 to 20-minute chat where we can discuss what exactly you want to do. And then once they call me back and they confirm they want to speak further, I've defined my questions and FAQ answers. I've told them my price points and what I charge. And in that email, I'll tell them, send me your top 10, 20, 30, or 40, or 50, no more than 50. 50 is my cutoff. okay, of keywords that you consider being the most important in your business. And I tell them, get it from your analytics if you're using analytics. And the reason why I say that is I want to see if these guys are actually tracking what they're doing on their website. Because if they're not tracking, then it indicates to me that there's a specific skill set that I have to deal with. If people aren't tracking the websites, they have no idea what their site's actually doing. And typically they're guys that need education. So there's more work involved when you're trying to do the sell. If they come to you and say, yes, we've got analytics, bang, 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 they give you the keywords, that automatically unlocks referrer data, and automatically unlocks where the people are coming from, and unlocks a whole bunch of things we can actually see about where their clients are coming from. So we can draw into the keywords, plus we can see where the guys are coming from. Then, once I've got that information, I basically said to the client, right, to do this work, I'm going to analyze your 50 keywords, we're going to look at it, and we're going to understand where your people are coming from, and the cost of that is $400 or $450 just to look at those words, and that includes a consultation for 30 minutes. And the reason why I say it that way is because within the consultation, that's where I do the upsell to do the silo framework. So this is where we build up the silo architecture. You actually pre-sell the client up front using DWS, showing the numbers in the system of what their keywords mean to their business. Okay. So once you've got the silo framework screen open and you're talking to clients, you can either send them the spreadsheet, you don't have to show them the tool. You can send the spreadsheet and you can talk through the spreadsheet, which is an export of all the keywords you've imported and exported out of the system, where it's actually pulls the values through. You can talk them through it and say, look, this is what these keywords mean to your business. And is this the place you want to be? Are these the products you want to sell? Blah, blah, blah. And you just talk to him about his business for half an hour. And usually through that process, when I speak to a client, what happens is, okay, cool. We've got a website. We've done this and that and that. Would you like to just go and refine it? And then I explain to them, look, well, essentially what we do is the process called bolt-on silos, where we analyze the market, we define and we map out what your site should look like. We bolt it onto the side of your existing site, so we don't break the traffic that's already there, and we slowly merge the new site to take over the old site as it gets ranked. And that works really well with the clients. And also, the funny thing is it ties them into a contract with you for like 3 or 4 or 5 months. So if you get your consulting fee every single month for the guys, you've got that continuity paying into you. So when we built the system for DWS, this is how we built the system, so that you can work with people for a long period of time, getting the continuity business. Okay, and that's how we start. So we do a silo framework. We explain to them what the keywords mean to them. They tell us, okay, cool, these keywords are the most important, and then you can start working through the process, because they've told you what's important to their industry, because they understand it. So when you come to write the content, you can prioritize what keywords have more value and are more important than others. And that runs all the way through to the promotion. So when you're doing the promotion, you can focus on those important keywords first. Now, if you use a tool like Kraken, Kraken's brilliant for being able to take the domain of the client, you put it in, it compares it to the top 20 keywords, competitors, and it shows you where your website's actually ranked. So if you do use Kraken, you can actually extract that information and show the client, look, these are your missed opportunities. These are things we want to have to bump first to get them ranked. And from that process, you actually start off with a job that's $400, but then you end up having the full contract by the end of the process. And it's simply by hopping through the steps, one step at a time. The first step being their framework. You're looking at their framework. What are the missed opportunities? What are the keywords they consider being important? What are the keywords that the market considers being important? And it's these type of things that really makes the difference in your business. Let's look at this here.
Good.
Taurus says the cost. Sorry, Rush, you can say something?
No, that's okay. I'm just letting you know that I don't see any other questions, and it looks like Tora has something here.
The cost has to be looked at the next to the value of the keyword to the business.
Not following you on that question, Tora. Are you just making a statement, or is that a question? Okay. Are there any other questions on this particular topic? Go ahead and do that now. Is this pretty much what we were going to cover today, Matt?
Yeah, I just want to show the guys how to use the report and how to use this information. So essentially, the process would be this. You'd come in, you'd key in your information, and you see the basic cost of what it's going to cost you to actually even look or work on this guy's website. The client comes in, you say to him, look, this is what we have to do to make you get ranked. This is the service we have to offer. What's your budget? You fill it in. Okay, what sites pages you got live, you can map it all out. But then there's the cost, there's the bottom line, whack. For this particular project here, before we even started, we're looking at $7,400, okay. Then we come to promotion, once you've got all that all sorted, and then we can start seeing what we have to do, and we can then come down and say to the client, well, if we promote carpet cleaning, because you said that's the most important keyword in your business, that's what drives your business, over the period to actually totally dominate it, out of the 50 grand, you're going to spend 7,000 plus 75 to start promoting it for what we're doing now. And it gives you a balance. But if you look at all the numbers week by week, sorry, I just want to get the screen stable there. Week by week, we can actually show a maximum cost, okay, on what the guys have to expect to be paying out at a maximum. Okay, and as we're writing the content and processing through DWS, through the system, you'll see that costs actually escalate for the client until you end up with the final totals. Okay, and this report is so powerful, especially if you just take the most important keywords, what the client tells you, these are the most important keywords, and you do a quick mock-up to the promotional screen where you say, okay, these are the keywords we want to get ranked for. It spits out the blueprint. You can very quickly see, will the client be in budget? Has he got enough money to actually do what he wants to do? Is this keyword the most important compared to other keywords we pull through the keyword grid? And it gives you all the information that you need to really speak business sense to your client for online marketing. That's the crutch of this whole conversation tonight. Is this one report answers absolutely every single question a CEO or business owner will want to know with regards to proceeding with a campaign. There's nothing out there that actually takes the numbers and crunches it in this way, as well as shows you in a real-time process of what you're going to do week by week by promotion type and cost, and show you what's been done, what's not been done. You can see what's been done by the green ticks and what's not been done by the red ticks. And it shows you how you're progressing through the whole process. So you could come in, import your 50 keywords, quickly knock out what you consider being the most important stuff into a single silo, run across to the promotional blueprint, generate, say, look, the most important keywords, carpet cleaning, create me a quick analysis on what we have to do, bang, spit it out. That tells us just in a flash here that we have 87 weeks of promotion we have to do. So we can be busy up to 2014 on promoting carpet cleaning, so we totally dominate and own it. And any search queries that come through essentially could potentially be redirected to our business. It gives you the whole story. Kevin asked you, how do you stop unpublishing a keyword? When you're publishing a keyword, right, if you're doing mock-ups like this with the report, I'm just going to get the promotional blueprint. The only time you can't unpublish a keyword is if you finalize it. Okay, so we've got the keywords over here. We got the manage promotion blueprint. Just waiting for the page to load. And if we've pressed finalize blueprint and we've finalized carpet cleaning, we can't unfinalize it. But you can, with the system, actually run through the promotion, and you can actually leave it sort of open. So if you don't want to promote anymore, you can actually uncheck it and click exclude. I wouldn't recommend that. You want to keep it basically in place And what you want to do is basically just stop promoting. And then on the report, what will happen is it will actually record when you stop doing your promotions, and you can have a system that tells you very clearly what's been done. So if you stop promoting, you won't see the green ticks, and you can see the green ticks will appear where you've actually written content and published it. And this helps you clearly define what you're working on for the client. Okay, sorry, Matt, this is the first time you've yawned. I'm not getting good energy, vibe, excitement. Sorry, guys, it's very late here. It's 20 to 11 at night here at my time, so I do apologize if I have yawned through a few things. It's a bit late here on my side in where I'm at. But yeah, what I was saying is, with regards to this whole process, with DWS, what we can do over here is within 30 minutes, you can import the keywords, you can make a mock-up of your framework before you speak to your client, and you can create a promotional blueprint and show them in this report very, very quickly what is expected, what are the costs, and how long it's going to take, and what the total cost is going to be with regards to this. Okay, and this is very, very important when you actually think of it, because you're showing exactly what you can be doing. There's accountability, and as the guys are working through the system and actually completing the work, things are getting checked off. So not only does the system give you the ability to create a model for your client very, very quickly, but as people are working on the process, going through the system, it's actually checking things off in real time. So when you come to send your client a client report, you can essentially just take this information and say, okay, we've done this last month, now we've done all this. And they can actually see the progress of how it's going on as you're working through it. So for today's webinar, it's like with the report, this whole thing is like the culmination. It's bringing everything together, all the work that you've done all the way through. This summarizes it up, but it's a very, very, very powerful sales tool that you close contracts with before you even actually start. And you know what it does? It actually gives you an indication of what is involved before you even take a contract on. So you can actually look at this information before you even speak to your client when you actually take on these primary keywords, and you can decide for yourself, do I have the time to do this project for this client? Do they have the money to actually pay me for what I have to do? And is this something I want to work on before you actually even speak to the client? And it gives you the whole story from start to end for the promotions, for building the site, what are the costs involved. And if the person starts humming and hawing, yeah, well, I don't want to pay this, I don't want to pay that, and this and that, and this is the value and this and that, you can then easily make a decision, is this a client I actually want to work with, before you even start the project. And this is the power of what DWS actually offers you with these reports, with the process, with using the Silo framework screen to basically rapidly deduce what keywords are most important to their client. Russ, would you like to say something on this?
That's okay. I think that we've covered enough. I do want to emphasize that it is very, very late where Matt is. We have this challenge. The constant challenge is I'm in Phoenix. Matt's at the end of this day where he's been slamming all day. And, you know, Sue's in Phoenix. I used to be in Hawaii, and it was even worse. So we never knew if it was coming or going. So, you know, it's really a lot to ask Matt to be able to put these webinars on. But the software has gotten so advanced over the last 7 months that I'm no longer able to present anymore DWS by myself. So I really do want to thank you, Matt, for being available to do this even at extremely late hours. And those of you who are new and don't know the team, you know, we get a few new folks on like Sally May and other people. This stuff, you know, we have been getting a lot of beginners and intermediate level developers and people who are just starting their business, you know, from our friends Greg Morrison and the Mike Long gang and the rest. This software is probably not for you. If you want to be up and running in 24 hours, I just need you guys to know that. We have no bones about it because we pick no bones about it because we've discovered that it's easier just to tell you we love having beginners and intermediate folks come over from the different systems like Bring the Fresh and maybe the more internet marketing kind of things. As you can see, this stuff is not a toy. This is not, these items are not for internet marketers. If you're a beginner, this is not for you unless you are willing to dedicate anywhere from 2 months, 3 months, 2 months to 6 months in training. Now, the networkempire.com members area is for you if you're a beginner. You can come in and start to learn what it is that we're doing and get an education. We have hundreds of testimonials of people who have been with us for anywhere from 4 to 5 years where they've transformed their business, obviously, from a beginner to even a full-fledged shop using these types of things. So do keep in mind that this is an advanced enterprise application. Brian, to answer your question, Stage 6, yeah, all of this is available at, Brian, just keep in your notes, networkempire.com/members-area. The free webinars should be posted there. Last week's webinar should be posted. If for some reason it's not, just email me, Brian, russell@themesenium.com. Okay, so there's that. So I just want to let you guys know what's happening. We're moving very quickly towards putting all these reports into the application coming out 2013, which will be called Network Empire. This is really the large play that we're doing. Now, we know this stuff is not a toy because we've recently presented to some large companies, corporation, with some of our associates, and really blew their socks off. And we never had the opportunity to present this material and these reports to a $1 billion plus company. I'll just be honest there, we hadn't had that. Now we have, and they love it. And they want to incorporate it. They want to white label this kind of stuff. So that just gives you an idea, folks. This is not internet marketing. However, it can scale down to any size once you get the training. If you do the training, you dedicate yourself to the training that Matt and Sue and myself are providing, you're going to be able to know how to use these reports. And also, I want to give special thanks to Kevin Pauly, Tora, Brian, everybody who's been with us for the last several months. There's about 5 or 10 of you who are what I consider hardcore students that are now applying this, creating contracts of $10,000 or plus. 10K is pretty small with this type of stuff. I really appreciate all your feedback. You guys have been making this software better, and you've been making our process of education better as we incorporate what we have been told by one of the multi-million-dollar companies we presented to is the most sophisticated and integrated multi-step process for site development in the world. Okay, so that's pretty cool, and Matt can afford a yawn or two. Okay. With that, hey Matt, I think.
Yes.
With that, I think we should.
I've been decaffeinated.
Yeah. With that, I really do feel like we should probably wrap this up. Brian, let me know if the webinar is not there. It really needs to be. I believe I'm picking it up. We put a press release out about it last week. This week we've been working on a lot of different new done-for-you services that we're offering, including the micro press release, content curation, and syndication system tied to everything else. Okay, great. Thanks, Brian. And we've got a lot of great stuff coming your way. Yeah, so with that, unless Matt, I'll let you wrap it up, and we'll probably close this webinar down.
Cool. Yeah, what's happening, just for a heads up for you guys, we're busy working on a new inline system training for you guys that on each screen we're basically giving you step-by-step guidance.
Oh, right.
A new little help button.
Oh,
that's going to pop up.
That's what Matt's been going on full on about. We have a pretty great relationship with a company called localoxygen.com. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. He and I have become pretty good friends over the last few months, and we've actually presented at some pretty large deals. And we think the same way that they think about their training, and we've been talking about it and going back and forth. We actually kind of bounce ideas off of each other on how to properly present for microprocessing or microprocesses and micro outsourcing. Matt is an expert in that type of area when it comes to breaking down processes, and at the manufacturing level he ran several large companies that allowed pretty complex processes to be broken down to microprocesses to lower the cost and increase profit margin. We're doing that same process for you guys in this tool. I would love to show you a sneak peek of it, but I guess we should probably wait. Bottom line is that you'll have a precise checklist. Anybody who's ever been complaining about, look, I'm brain dead, it's 2 in the morning, I don't have any time to understand the next step. Okay, I don't have time to go back to the video. That's all going to be there. There's going to be a video step by step, and we are going to hone this process Occam's razor. We're going to hone this process until there's not a single question left to ask about what you should do next. And there's going to be a video on every single step. Okay?
Yeah. So essentially what will happen is you'll click on the icon, depending on wherever you are in the system. If you're on Silo Framework and you click on that, the step-by-steps will tell you exactly from Silo Framework what you have to do at that stage of the process.
Precisely.
Then as you're going along, you can tick them off and it will remember it by project. So if you're on an unlimited DWS version, it doesn't matter if you work on 10 projects, you always can keep track of where exactly you were last at with this thing. So when you jump to like site content, it'll take you through the PAM method and it'll tick it off step by step, and you can actually work your way through it. The same will be available for the team members. When the team are writing the stuff, we'll tell them exactly this is what you got to do using the tools. So it makes it even easier and simpler to actually do the micro tasks. Because if you think of exactly what we built here, this is a production line. This is a factory. This is a website building factory. That's what you can essentially call it. And as you go through each department in the factory, the end result is a report telling you what your costs are, but also with future reports, when we include the analytics, you can see what your cost was versus what is actually making you money within your business. And this is where the software tools are going to. So the inline help will actually help you, guide you through the process to make it even easier for you guys to use.
Absolutely. So I want to thank you all very much, and I think that, oh, by the way, we do have a Kraken webinar tomorrow on Thursday with Sue Bell and myself. If you do have time to make it, come in and rattle our cage a little bit, keep us on point, and, ask any question you want, and we're going to start talking to you more and more about how to integrate these two applications. Obviously, Kraken is probably one of the, I do correct myself, there is one other keyword tool on the market that we know that is stable with Google. And currently that means that we are not the only one that is not defaulted or defected to Bing data. As far as I'm concerned, Bing data is useless. You just might as well stop doing keyword research if you're going to use Bing data by itself. Most of the keyword tools in the market are switching because Google is making it impossible, at least nearly impossible, or at least incredibly expensive to use their data. So Kraken still uses Google, and we will continue to use Google. The last keyword tool uses Google as well. So come and learn about how we take that Google data and multiply it as a force multiplier times 10 using natural language processing, co-occurrence, market research, Bayesian analysis, and how all of that has to do very precisely with how you build your website and how you can make a more profitable website with DWS using Kraken and the last keyword tool. With that, I'll go ahead and see you guys off. Thank you so much for your presence. We'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock Phoenix time. For the Kraken webinar. This has been Matt DeCruz, Russell Wright from NetworkEmpireThemeZoom.com signing off.